This is News 8 Now, this morning.
At the end of the case, I'm convinced that you're going to find that Mr. Tao was involved in this through the messages that he sent, through the things that he said, and the person he was with in the car and afterwards. And I'm asking you to find him guilty of first-degree intentional homicide for all three of these young men.
The value that La Crosse as a whole has, I think people love the community and love the area, and I think that's why we've had such good demand.
When he gets on the equipment, he can strengthen the muscles in his legs, then transfers become easier, daily life skills become easier, swimming is easier, things like that.
Good morning, everyone. That was your morning eye opener. I'm Sophia Pullman.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is Wednesday, June 14th. We are halfway through the week. And you said it's going to be warming up a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be warming up here, especially towards the end of the week and also into next week. It's going to be looking very hot, at least for this time of year. But as of right now, conditions are looking pretty quiet across the Coulee region. Just tracking a few clouds here moving through the area right now, but definitely no rain. A completely different story than what we had just yesterday, as we were watching a low pressure system that did bring us some rain showers on the backside. I'm happy to say all of that has cleared out, and the clouds here are also decreasing with time as well. Current temperatures are into the 60s for the most part, but there are some 50s out there as well. 54 in Eau Claire, 57 in Winona, and even into the upper 40s, Black River Falls and Sparta there. Here's a check on your planner. We are looking at mainly sunny skies here today, with those temperatures warming up to the 70s later morning and then also to the 80s as we head into the afternoon hours. A slight chance of a shower or drizzle possible late afternoon and also early evening. So here's a check on your allergy reports. The grass and pine is high for those symptom index levels. The weed remains low. And we got the same forecast in store for the day tomorrow. Now, coming up in a bit, I'll have a check on your full weather forecast, and we're going to talk about these temperatures a little bit more. Also, some hazy and smoky conditions could be on the way here once again. We'll talk about that and much more in just a bit. Sophia?
Thanks, Derek. Let's get to some news this morning. The trial is underway for a man charged in connection to a 2021 triple homicide. 35-year-old Naya Tao is facing 3 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. News 8 Now's Dua Ishrar was at the courthouse where opening arguments from both the prosecution and defense were heard.
In July of 2021, the La Crosse County Sheriff's Office responded to a call at the Romsquag Quarry on County Highway M.
3 bodies that were lying near the gate of the quarry, which is locked overnight.
24-year-olds Peng Lor and Nemo Yang and 23-year-old Trevor Maloney were shot and killed.
So they were each shot multiple times.
On Tuesday morning, the prosecution and defense gave their opening statements to the jury.
At the end of the case, I'm convinced that you're going to find that Mr. Tao was involved in this through the messages that he sent, through the things that he said, and the person he was with in the car and afterwards. And I'm asking you to find him guilty of first-degree intentional homicide for all 3 of these young men.
According to the criminal complaint, a witness came forward and told police 45-year-old Kamthaneth Ratanasak handed the gun to 35-year-old Naya Tao, who shot the 3 men.
Tom threatens her and says she should go stand by her car unless she wants to join them.
In his opening statement, Tao's attorney asked jury members to question the credibility of that witness.
One of the choices she makes is she takes out her phone and she starts deleting evidence. She's deleting texts, deleting contact, deleting information about her connection.
DA Tim Grinke stated jury members would hear from Ratanasak, who was given immunity by the state for his testimony.
He's charged with similar offenses. His trial or hearing will be for another day, but he is testifying under understanding that he can't be prosecuted for what he testifies to truthfully.
The defense argued Ratanasak would try to manipulate the jury.
He thinks he can dupe you. He thinks he can manipulate you. That's ultimately his goal up there.
Leaving jurors to decide who pulled the trigger. Reporting in La Crosse, Dua Ishrar, News 8 Now.
3 witnesses also testified in court that each victim was shot roughly 3 to 4 times in the head and torso. Tao faces a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment if he is convicted of first-degree intentional homicide. The trial is expected to last 1 week. A teen is missing in Sauk County. Authorities are continuing their search for 13-year-old James Oblonsky, Police believe he's in a rural area near Devil's Lake State Park. Yablonski reportedly left his family's home overnight in a family car on a Sunday night and was reported missing Monday morning. Location data brought authorities to a makeshift campsite with clothing, a phone charger, and a pillow. Yablonski's father reported he's missing a handgun, but authorities say it's unclear if the teen has it. Officials are asking people to avoid the area while they search. Extra volunteers from around the country are helping out at a Habitat for Humanity project in Arcadia. Caravanners is a Habitat program full of RV travelers. The group plans stops at Habitat work sites while on trips across the country. This is the group's second time stopping in the area after coming to help with a project last June.
We move at different speeds, of course, but we pick up whatever's situation or whatever however they are, whatever level they are on the construction.
The group will be helping the La Crosse area Habitat for the next few weeks. If you would like to donate or volunteer, we'll have information posted on our website. Despite increases in interest rates, home prices are still on the rise. It's a trend the Federal Reserve is trying to slow, and apartment developers are banking on. News 8 Now's Michael Germain explains.
Driving the roads around La Crosse, and you're bound to notice all the work going on. The latest is a 72-unit apartment complex wrapping up construction on the north side.
We have the fitness center, we have the fire table, the grill.
The 5th Ward Residencies on St. Cloud Street is about to open the next phase in their $26 million development. The emphasis is on luxury, and thanks to the rise in interest rates for home buyers, they're not worried about staying empty for long.
The value that La Crosse as a whole has, I think people love the community and love the area, and I think that's why we've had such good demand.
The president of the La Crosse Area Realtors Association agrees.
With the housing market right now, if the inventory is low, people will choose to rent until the market or the supply catches up with the demand.
And as long as interest rates continue to rise, so will the demand for rental units.
If they have refinanced or purchased in the last few years at the very favorable rates, they're a little bit less likely to let go of their current or existing interest rate.
Giving a green light to places like the 5th Ward to keep building. In La Crosse, Michael Germain, News 8 Now.
The construction at the apartment complex is expected to wrap up by September. Today, Wisconsin State Troopers are hosting an open house at the Sparta State Patrol Post Office off of I-90. The open house runs from 3 to 7. Visitors can get an up-close look at equipment and patrol vehicles. There's also a chance to talk to troopers about job opportunities. Still ahead on your morning news, an outage at Amazon Web Services causes major websites to disconnect. And the Federal Reserve may not be raising interest rates for an 11th time this June. That and more coming up this morning. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. The hottest in summer footwear is here, and it's brought to you by Crocs and Taco Bell. The brands have joined forces to bring the first ever Mellow Slides. The shoes sport Taco Bell's iconic logo. The Taco Bell Crocs will be on sale June 28th, exclusively on Crocs.com for $60. Don't go anywhere. Your consumer news at News 8 Now this morning after the break.
Just a few passing clouds this morning across much of the Coulee region, but other than that, sky is looking mostly clear, and we got that in the forecast for the dog walking conditions this morning with sunshine as we head into this afternoon. You may run into a little bit of a light drizzle here, however, as we head closer towards those early evening hours today, thanks to a front that will be moving through today, but our highs will be into those mid to upper 80s with a high of 86 today in Holmen, 88, or I should say 86 in Lansing, 88 however in La Crescent, and as we head to our central zones, mid 80s there with 86 in Trempealeau, 86 today in Melrose, and highs will be reaching the mid to upper 80s across the Chippewa Valley with a high of 87 this afternoon in Eau Claire. Now for your backyard forecast, if you have any plans to be maybe outside grilling or poolside, we will be looking at 88 degrees for the high under those partly cloudy weather conditions. Now stay tuned. afternoon. I'm still going to have a check on that full weather forecast coming up again in a few minutes, and we'll talk about some possible smoke and hazy weather conditions that could be affecting our sky cover as we head into tonight and through tomorrow, plus some warmer temperatures and drier conditions and all that more coming up in my full weather forecast in just a few minutes. Sophia?
In your consumer news this morning, those surfing the internet struggled a bit due to a wide-ranging outage with Amazon Web Services. The outage impacted major websites, including Southwest Airlines and New York City's Metropolitan Transit Authority. Because of the disruption, New York's transit agency had to post alerts about train and bus service disruptions on Twitter. Southwest also reacted on social media, informing its customers that the airline was working with Amazon to fix the issue. Bud Light is no longer the top-selling beer in the U.S. Modelo Special took over a spot in May, according to an analysis of Nielsen data by consulting firm Bump Williams. Modelo represented more than 8% of retail store beer sales in the 4 weeks ending June 3rd, while Bud Light was just above 7% during that same period. Move over Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. A new company has reportedly joined the ranks of the top tech giants thanks to the popularity of artificial intelligence. The Wall Street Journal reports computer chip maker NVIDIA ended Tuesday's trading day valued at more than $1 trillion for the first time. According to the Journal, it is only the 7th American company to reach that status. NVIDIA apparently builds semiconductors that are essential to some of the largest, most powerful AI systems. The S&P 500 index entered bull market territory last week, which means it hit a 20% rally from the low it fell to in October. The Nasdaq is enjoying a long streak of weekly gains, but could this be the coming of an end? We'll know more today if Federal Reserve Chairman Jeremy Powell decides to announce another interest rate hike or put it on pause.
This may be an especially sunny month for Wall Street and U.S. households.
We've had more than a year of interest rate hikes, and it does appear as if those dousing of inflation fires, the efforts by the Federal Reserve, do appear to be working.
After announcing numerous increases since March of 2022, the central bank is hinting that it may skip one for June.
The Fed has been administering a kind of medicine in the form of higher interest rates since March of last year. And like a patient that needs to recuperate, I think Federal Reserve officials want to sort of stand back, make some observations about how the economy is handling all of that.
But even if the Fed holds steady, analysts say another increase could come later this summer.
I don't think any consumers are really ready to jump up and down and say that, oh boy, you know, the fight against inflation is over and it's off to the races with spending.
The Fed's 10 consecutive interest rate hikes have also played a factor with the U.S. job market, bringing an end to the so-called Great Resignation, when almost 50 million people quit their jobs in the 2 years following the pandemic. The government reports the number of people leaving their jobs dropped by 49,000 in April compared to March. And the so-called quitting rate is essentially back to the pre-pandemic average.
The May Producer Price Index reports are also due today, but investors say that's unlikely to change the Fed's June decision unless they show inflation rates are widely above expectations. That's it for your morning consumer news. Let's check in with Derek in today's forecast.
All right, thanks for that, Sophia. We're off to a mainly clear start this morning from City Cam 8 in downtown La Crosse. Our current temperatures in La Crosse are at 60 degrees, a tad cooler downtown by just a degree at 59. Southeast winds currently at 6 miles an hour. Meanwhile, to the north in Eau Claire, it's mainly clear as well, 54 degrees here. Wind speeds looking nice and calm, and our current temperatures are mainly into the 50s and 60s. Some spots in Sparta, Black River Falls, however, this morning into the upper 40s. Volkfield, you have since warmed up at 50 degrees. Winona's at 57. Our forecast highs today into the mid to upper 80s. I'm expecting a high of 88 today in La Crosse and a high of 86 this afternoon in Eau Claire. A check now on your day planner, 62 degrees at 7 o'clock, mostly sunny, 81 degrees and lots of sun by noon today, followed by a slight chance of a drizzle or two at 4 o'clock, temperatures at 88, and another chance of a drizzle here as we head into early this evening, temperatures then dropping into the low 80s by around 8 p.m. tonight. So we are watching just a few clouds that continue continue to move through. But other than that, conditions are pretty quiet. So we are tracking a very slow moving cold front currently positioned just off to the north. Now we are expecting that front to move through here as we head into today, but especially as we head into tonight. But over the next few hours here throughout the morning, it's really expected to turn mainly stationary here, and it starts to move its way slowly towards the south as we head into those later afternoon hours. And we could be watching a few chances of some light drizzle here associated with that front as it continues to move south. Otherwise, not really a whole lot of good rain chances today. Anything that happens will come to a close as we head into tonight as that front continues to move south. And by tomorrow morning at around 8 o'clock, I do expect it to be positioned just south of the Coulee region. And then as we head into tomorrow afternoon, we will be under the influence of high pressure building to the north. That should create a mainly dry and overall sunny environment here for us to work with yet again. Now, we are going to be watching some smoky conditions moving in from the north from the Canadian wildfires behind that cold front, and that is going to drag in some hazy conditions for us to work with as we head into tonight especially. And then also as we head into the day tomorrow, things could be turning a little bit on the smoky side, and you may be noticing a little bit of a milky hazy sky here as a result of that as we head into tomorrow as well. But we do expect all the smoke and haze to clear the area as the wind direction changes as we head into tomorrow night. So here's a check now on your 8-day forecast. After we get through the haze tomorrow, we should be looking mostly sunny as we head into Friday, and bluer skies there as well. As we head into this weekend, partly to mostly cloudy with highs into those mid to upper 80s. It's going to get pretty warm and hot for next week. Highs into the upper 80s to low 90s, or a mix of sun and clouds, and lows in the 50s and low 60s. Stay with us. We're back with much more news and weather still to come on News 8 Now this morning. We're taking a quick break with a look at what happened on this day in history for June 14th. We'll be right back.
The news continues on News 8 Now. Expect more.
For the first time in American history, a former president was booked and arraigned on federal charges. Former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to those charges, which stem from his alleged mishandling of sensitive materials after leaving office. Later, he spent the day with supporters in Miami and New Jersey. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
This day will go down in infamy. Last night, a defiant former President Trump slammed the federal case against him at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. It came hours after he pleaded not guilty to 37 charges, accusing him of retaining classified documents illegally and trying to hide them from investigators after receiving a subpoena. I had every right to have these documents. Before his historic arraignment at a Miami federal court yesterday, the former president surrendered to authorities, got swabbed for DNA, and was fingerprinted, though no mugshot was taken and he was allowed to keep his passport. Raj Abhyankar was inside the courtroom where Trump was joined by aide and co-defendant Walt Nauta.
It's quiet. There's a few people whispering in the back. Yeah, it's very serious.
Special counsel Jack Smith was also in the Miami courtroom. On Tuesday, the judge barred former President Trump from discussing the case with his co-defendant. He's also not allowed to engage with potential witnesses, but since many of them work for him, that could be tough to enforce. Crowds of Trump supporters and demonstrators gathered outside the courthouse. One protester dressed in prison stripes was arrested after he briefly jumped in front of the motorcade. After his day in court, Trump visited with supporters at a Cuban restaurant before heading back to New Jersey, where he held a closed-door fundraiser.
During his speech in New Jersey last night, former President Trump vowed to appoint a special prosecutor to go after President Biden and his family if he wins the 2024 election. So far, President Biden has declined to comment on the case, and he has asserted that the Department of Justice operates independently. The truck driver whose tanker crash caused a highway bridge to collapse in Philadelphia Sunday has been identified. 53-year-old Nathan Moody died from blunt trauma and other injuries in the accident. Moody's cousin, Isaac Moody, said that the driver leaves behind a wife and 3 children. Meanwhile, the Secretary of Transportation visited the site of the I-95 bridge collapse. Federal and state officials are working together to find a workaround for the fallen bridge, which carries 160,000 vehicles daily. Only a quarter of drug treatment centers for teens offer the key medication for opioid addiction. Researchers at Oregon Health and Science University called 160 facilities around the country. They found just 39 provided the treatment, which is also known by the brand name Suboxone. Scientists hope a new law passed last year that allows doctors to prescribe it more easily will increase access. People who get migraines are at a greater risk for having a certain type of stroke. Additionally, the study out of Denmark found women migraine sufferers may also have a slightly greater chance of having a heart attack. The findings suggest migraines, which are predominantly diagnosed in women, impact them more than men. A survey at UW Health saved a Waupun baby's life after birth. It took a high-risk procedure for the mother and advanced treatment from doctors to make it happen. Reporter Catherine Merrick shows us the baby's remarkable recovery.
What are you doing, baby girl? What are you doing? While looking at baby Layla Manderly, you never be able to guess what she went through 5 months ago.
The situation just seemed so bad at the time.
On February 1st, a 17-centimeter benign tumor blocked Layla's ability to breathe and swallow. That meant parents Andy and Ashley would have to prepare for a high-risk surgery and hope for the best.
It was scary. I think the worst part of it was saying goodbye in the pre-op room and not knowing if I was going to see my wife and kid later that evening.
And as a mother, you do what you have to for your kids. So if that meant putting my life on line, then that's what I had to do.
UW Health is the only place in the state where this specific kind of surgery is performed. A team of 40 doctors and nurses had to carefully make an airway for Layla to breathe in under 30 minutes to keep everybody involved safe.
We were able to get Layla's airway in 12 minutes, which was fantastic, and she had a great outcome.
I remember getting a text message from our nurse, Casey, and she had said, "You have a beautiful breathing daughter with an airway." I think that was probably the longest 3 hours of my life waiting for that message.
Hi, baby.
Nearly 5 months later, baby Layla is happy and healthy. But with all the trouble that happened in the first few minutes of her life, her parents and doctors are a little cautious about what this could mean when she grows up.
I always tell Ashley and Andy, to remind her of this when she's in trouble, when she's a teenager, when she wants the car keys.
When she asks for them keys in 16 years, you can remind her of all the stress then.
It was only the third of this specific kind of procedure done at the UW Health Fetal Diagnosis and Treatment Center. Wisconsin Republicans are getting ready to cut funding for UW system schools. The vote comes as the GOP-controlled legislature continues to debate funding for diversity and inclusion. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said ahead of Tuesday's budget writing committee meeting that he wants to cut all funding the UW system would use for diversity programs. That would cut roughly $32 million out of the budget. The vote could leave the system nearly $500 million short of what school officials say they need. Speaker Vos also commented on health care at a Wisconsin Health News event. When asked if he's thought about allowing Medicaid expansion in the state, Vos replied, quote, "As long as I am Speaker of the Assembly, Medicaid expansion will never happen." Governor Evers had Medicaid expansion in his biennial budget proposal, but the Republican-controlled legislature already cut the measure. Wisconsin is one of 10 states that hasn't accepted federal funds to expand Medicaid eligibility above the federal poverty line. Summer is in full swing, which means you're probably going to fire up your grill soon. But when was the last time you cleaned it? It's important to clean your grill after you use it. There are 3 tools that you should always have on hand. The first is a natural-based grill cleaner or a mix of dish soap and water. Use it on your grill when it is cool. Second, you want a steel brush. Owner of Anderson Barbecue Supply, Robert Anderson, says there's one he'll always use.
I always say a nice hard wire brush. I like the hard coils on them because they're not going to fall off in your food.
It's best to use on grates when the grill is still hot, or you can use it with the cleaner when cool. The last thing you need is a paint scraper to remove anything that's been burnt on. No matter how you grill, keeping it clean is important. Your food will taste better, cook more evenly, and prevent fire hazards. Hundreds of older women in Iowa are able to enjoy playing a sport from their youth, team basketball, at a slower pace and gentle level. Nicole Tam reports on a fun league called Granny Basketball.
A basketball game with a special set of rules. This is Granny Basketball, where every player is at least 50 years old. Among the rules, no running, no jumping, and granny shots get you 3 points when it makes the basket. Sue Manning plays for the Classic Chassis team.
I love the team that I'm with. They're a lot of fun. And then they made me coach and captain, so I feel a little responsibility to stay on.
You may have noticed the uniforms the grannies are wearing. It's a 1920s style uniform, mini blouses and knee-high stockings, all part of the rules.
Back in the day, they used to wear garments and things like this, so they just keep the tradition alive.
Trey Stanton helps run Granny Basketball. It's one of 25 sporting events that's hosted by Iowa's Senior Games.
And it gives them the opportunity to stay active, fit, and do things they enjoy and love.
The competition can get heated on the court, but at the end of the day,
they may look mean, but and very aggressive on the floor, but at the end of it, they're joking with each other, congratulating each other.
It's all for good fun.
According to Granny Basketball, there are more than 500 players in 10 states. Now here's Derek to tell us what to expect in our morning commute.
All right, thanks for that, Sophia. Skies continue to clear out this morning as the remaining clouds continue to dissipate and move away. Our current temperatures are into the 50s, some of us into the 60s this morning, such as La Crosse at 60 degrees. Eau Claire's currently at 54. Overall, the forecast today is going to be pretty warm with a high of 88 degrees under partly cloudy skies and west winds at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. For tonight, temperatures at 61 degrees, partly cloudy and also hazy as well with north winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Mowing conditions today look pretty good. 65 degrees to start around 8 o'clock and then 81 degrees at noon with lots of sun. A slight chance of a shower or drizzle is possible around 5 p.m. with temperatures at around 86 degrees. Now stay tuned. I'll have a final check on your full weather forecast. We'll talk about the dry and warm conditions this week along with some possible haze for tomorrow. All that and more in just a bit. Normally this would be when we do today's Look Who's 8. As well, but no one submitted those birthdays. So if you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we'd love to feature them here on News 8.
Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website.
Well, it sure is an absolute gorgeous start to the morning, as you can see behind me from City Cam 8 in downtown La Crosse. Current conditions are sunny, 60 degrees is the temperature, 59 degrees, however, downtown, so slightly cooler there. Southeast winds light at 6 miles an hour. Meanwhile, to the north in Eau Claire, lots of sunshine here as well this morning, 54 degrees the temperature, with wind speeds looking nice and calm. And our current temperatures across the rest of the area this morning, we got 50, some spots reaching the low 60s as we just saw there in La Crosse. But Winona, good morning to you. You're currently at 59. Sparta, one of the cold spots this morning at 46. Black River Falls, you have since warmed up since the last time we got a check on you. You're currently at 51. Boscobel 53. Prairie du Chien at 57. And our forecast highs today, much warmer this afternoon, mid to upper 80s across the map with a high of 86 in Eau Claire today and a high of 88 degrees this afternoon in La Crosse, well above average here for this time of year. Mostly sunny and 62 degrees at 7 o'clock, and then by noon today, 81 and still very sunny. A slight chance of a drizzle possible late this afternoon around 4 p.m. with temperatures at 88, 81 degrees early this evening with a slight chance of a shower or drizzle possible as well. But as of right now, things continue to remain pretty quiet. A few passing clouds here continue, but that's really about it here for us to work with this morning. We do have a cold front currently positioned just off to the north here across north central Wisconsin, and this is a very slow moving cold front, which is expected to move through, by the way, but it will take its very sweet time to actually make it this far south. You can see by 10 o'clock, it's still nearly stationary to our north, so it's really not until later this afternoon where this front finally makes its way south, and you can see a little bit of a convergence zone with some clouds and a little bit of some light showers that could form along the boundary as it continues to move towards the south. Now, any rain chances that we may have today, which by the way are very slim, which will come to a close as we head into tonight once that front clears the area. And by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I do expect the front to be positioned just south of the Coulee region there as high pressure to the north builds in. That will allow us to see mainly dry and overall sunshine tomorrow as well, with just a few clouds possible. Now, the only problem is that we could be dealing with some smoky and hazy conditions as that front moves through the area. In fact, here's 3 o'clock this afternoon. Some of us here in the Chippewa Valley could be dealing with some hazy and smoky conditions behind the front as it moves through. And here's 1 o'clock tonight. All that haze continues to filter in towards the south, creating skies a little bit milky here, and that will continue as we head into tomorrow afternoon, still looking at some smoky and hazy conditions. It's really not until around tomorrow night when we get a change in the wind direction to allow that smoke and haze to finally clear the area. Here's a check on your 8-day forecast. So after that haze gets out of here tomorrow, we're looking a lot better here in terms of our skies as we head into Friday and through the rest of the week with a mix of sun and clouds. Highs into the 80s and in fact the upper 80s to low 90s as we head into next week.
Today marks the 248th birthday of the United States Army. To celebrate, we have Major General Matthew Baker, the senior commander for Fort McCoy, with us. Thank you for being here, Matthew.
Well, thanks for having me, Sophia.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I'm not only the senior commander for Fort McCoy, but for 19 states for the Army Reserve. So from Ohio out to Washington. And we really impact the readiness of about 55,000 soldiers. We have 211 locations with over 500 facilities.
A lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
So today is the U.S. Army's birthday. How is that? Why is that important?
Well, I think it really highlights the Army. This is the day to highlight the Army and the 248 years of, fighting and winning our nation's wars. Really 248 years of having opportunities for civilians and soldiers throughout the nation to really be all they can be and do great things and really recognizing the service of all the soldiers.
Is Fort McCoy doing anything to recognize the service?
So this morning we do have a cake or run this morning that I missed because I'm here. We're going to have a cake cutting and we're going to swear in some new soldiers and celebrate there.
What can people do at home if they can't participate?
Well, I think one of the things is really reflect on what the Army is and do a little research on what it is and recognize the service of all the people who have served to make our nation great and enjoy the freedoms that the Army has provided us over the years.
So we're talking about ways to celebrate. What's your favorite way?
My favorite way is just to be with the soldiers and enjoy, every day I wake up, I get to put this uniform on and I'm honored to serve our great nation. So every day I get to celebrate.
What is the difference between, for those who don't know, the U.S. Army, Army Reserve, and the National Guard?
So the Army active duty is every day. Soldiers are out there doing it. I see Army Reserve and National Guard as dual careerists. They have a career not only in the Army, but also in their civilian lives, and they live two lives really distinctly and different. And the Army Reserve, you can have your career, you can do what you want to do on the civilian side, and also serve.
How did your career start?
I joined when I was 17. I was a private at Fort Benning, Georgia, and that just really leads to the credence of what the Army can do. I was one of the lowest ranking soldiers in the Army, and now I'm pretty high up, but it's the opportunities for education, leadership development, and the Army will develop you. So you can join today and be the lowest guy and then 38 years later be a 2-star general. And
what has been, I'm just personally curious, what has been your favorite part? I mean, you've obviously been doing this for a while.
It's a sense of service. It's the people I work with. It's such a diverse organization, and you think the Army's really rigid, but there's people from every ways of life, every cultures, every religion, and you get that exposure every day. And I think that's one of the reasons we're such a great organization, is because of the diversity in the culture.
If what you said hasn't encouraged people to celebrate today, what can you tell our viewers?
Well, really just go out and look at opportunities, and as we're celebrating 248 years of a great organization, look at maybe think about joining. We do need soldiers, and there's over 200 jobs in the Army. It's not just about fighting. There's engineers, there's medical, there's, you know,
a lot of avenues.
Logisticians. Yeah, and the education opportunities that are out there. I have over 100 scholarships I still haven't filled for this year. So there's opportunities out there.
If someone wants to find more information and get involved, where can they contact you or find more information?
Well, they can go to the Army Reserve website or the Army website and link up with a recruiter. Like I said, the Army's done, you know, has been a great part of my life, and I think any young person looking at something to do, this is a great opportunity for them to do that.
Well, thank you very much, Matthew, for being here. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Sophia.
And if you want to find more information, you can find it on the website that Matthew listed. We'll be right back after the break. A teen is missing in Sauk County. Authorities are continuing their search for 13-year-old James Yablonsky. Police believe he's in a rural area near Devil's Lake State Park. Yablonsky reportedly left his family's home overnight in a family car on Sunday night and was reported missing Monday morning. Location data brought authorities to a makeshift campsite with clothing, a phone charger, and a pillow. Yablonsky's father reported he's missing a handgun, but authorities say it's unclear if the teen has it. Officials are asking people to avoid the area while they search. Extra volunteers from around the country are helping out at a Habitat for Humanity project in Arcadia. Caravanners is a Habitat program full of RV travelers. The group plans shops at Habitat work sites while on trips across the country. This is the group's second time stopping in the area after coming to help with a project last June.
We move at different speeds, of course, but we pick up whatever's situation or whatever, however they are, whatever level they are on the construction.
The group will be helping the La Crosse area Habitat for the next few weeks. If you would like to donate or volunteer, we'll have information on our website. Registration is open for a day of adaptive water skiing in La Crosse. The River City Water Show ski team and the North American Squirrel Association are holding 2 ski days this summer. The first is this Friday. There are multiple ski sessions, each with a max of 6 participants. We'll post more information about signing up on our website. Today, Wisconsin State Troopers are hosting an open house at the Sparta State Patrol post off of I-90. The open house runs from 3 to 7. Visitors can get an up-close look at equipment and patrol vehicles. There's also a chance to talk to troopers about job opportunities.
And as you head out the door this morning, temperatures warming up into the low 60s by 7 o'clock, followed by temperatures into the 80s late morning into the early afternoon. And then we should be warming up into the 80s by the later afternoon hours today. A slight chance of a shower possible late afternoon to early evening as well. Otherwise, a mix of sun and clouds there. Your 8-day forecast showing that tomorrow going to be a pretty hazy day as the smoke kind of moves in behind a front from the Canadian wildfires. Highs in the upper 80s there, mid to upper 80s throughout the rest of the week. And also as we head into next week, in fact, highs could even jump to the low 90s by Tuesday and Wednesday, lows into the 50s and low 60s.
I'm not the biggest fan of the rain, but I know we need it, and we didn't get a lot.
Well, it's going to be a very small chance today, so I'm not really expecting a whole lot of showers.
Week.
Yeah, this week is pretty dry here too. And unfortunately, we got more haze coming in from the wildfires north, so that's not very good either.
No.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Thanks, Derek. And thank you for watching News 8 Now. Don't forget to keep up with the news of the day on news8000.com. We will have the latest updates to today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. Have a great morning, everyone. Thank you for watching News 8.